disconnected, but we're live. With the great Tim Hatfield. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's very good to be with you, David.
Yeah, it's nice. Been a while since you were over here in Liverpool. We had good fun time together, didn't we?
It was excellent. Susan and I still talk about that great tour and how much it meant to us.
Oh, that's good. Well, look, obviously, the Beatles are very important in your life, and we are going to be talking about your fantastic book, The Beatles, When We Find Ourselves in Times of Trouble. And you and I have had this conversation of how my Beatles career started when I was signed off work and with my fibromyalgia and stuff. And the Beatles have been a solace to me and a therapy for me. Tell us how your book started, because the story behind that is fascinating, isn't it?
No, it really wasn't going to be a book, to be honest. In 2020, as you may recall, there was a terrible pandemic that really adversely affected the whole world. And and here in the U.S., it was awful. It was really, really awful. And we were getting misinformation from the political regime at the time and ignoring the good medical advice from the best medical people in the country who were being overshadowed by the misinformation. And people were terribly upset and scared. It was a very scary time. So I of course, my wife would say that I'm always looking for ways to save the world.
She's
There's
a wise woman.
no grandiosity here, but my thought was, is there any way that I can make a little contribution to help people to cope better and to give them some hope that things were going to still be okay, even though everything felt so disturbed and up for grabs. So in March of 2020, I decided that I would send out an email to a bunch of family members and a few good friends. It would have been like 20 people or so, with a Beatles song and researching the backstory of the song, and then attaching the audio file to it so that they could read about the story, read about the song, and listen to it, and hopefully feel a sense, like a little bit of upbeat sense that things could be okay. That's what started it. And so the truth is that the first song was Nowhere Man, because I was so angry at our president that the even though I love the song, the phrase, the title fit. I said, oh, this guy's not got it going. So I sent that out as the first song, and amazingly, at least half of the people wrote back and said, that was great. That was the best I've felt in weeks. Why don't you do it again? So I said, well, okay. So I started doing that every morning from the end of March until the middle of December of 2020. I sent out an email with a little essay and our connector to the song until I ran out of songs that I could find. I mean, there were over 200 songs, and it was astounding. The response was astounding. People kept writing back, and fairly early on said stuff like, "This should be a book, man." Like, no, I just want you um, have a little respite
Yeah.
during your day, which otherwise might be pretty grim. I mean, for me, it was a great distraction to be doing this every day, and my astute wife pointed out to me finally that I did not need to get up at 5:30 in the morning to do the writing and to send it out to get it to her sister who lived one time zone ahead of us, so that she could listen and read while she had her morning coffee before her workday began at 8. So I was writing between 5:30 and 7 every morning, and Susan said, Tim, you could do this the night before, right?
I didn't like to mention it, but yeah, Susan's always
Yes,
remember
and
that.
it's even a Beatles song title. So I said, okay. So so I started doing that, and it was the bottom line is that it was, in retrospect, selfishly life-giving for me to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And the list that started with 20 people or so grew to like 225 people who would get this every day and counted on it, and then kept lobbying me for it to be a book. And um, after about a month after I ran out of songs, it's sort of been early 2021, I said, well, I'll see what I can do. And started changing it around enough so that it wasn't COVID specific, which Susan also pointed out, that would be a real downer to, hey, buy my book. It'll remind you of how miserable you were during COVID. so so I made those edits, and it first was an ebook, because I had not figured out how to help people access the actual music until another mutual friend of ours, Jude Kessler, said, well, you can do that. She did an interview online with me one time, and said, after we're done, call me back and I'll give you the word. And it amounted to just QR codes in the book, and they were public access, and I could do that. And that was the final linchpin in this that made it the book. I'd always wanted it to be a book. I'm an academic, and I love real books. I usually do this. Susan's, yeah, you really love books, Tim. So that was a goal, and so, as Susan said, I did scratch that itch and got the book out, and it's still out there, and it's selling some. So that's which is pleasing.
Yeah, and that's great. And of course, the question has to be why the Beatles, but you've got your own Beatles story, haven't you? So tell us
Oh,
about
yeah. Well, I'm old for one thing,
that. I
and
wasn't going to say that. I was trying to avoid it.
no, it's a fact. I'm old. I'm old enough to have grown up with the Beatles. Um, I was my high school had, during the lunch hour, a disc jockey stand where another guy and I would play music all the way through the lunch hour. It was a
Wow.
pretty radical kind of thing for this working class community high school. We had a real progressive principal, and he said, "Yeah, do this thing." So that was fun. So I was always invested in music and rock and roll, and then here come the Beatles in 1964, and I saw them perform in Cincinnati in 1964 in a big basketball arena. Maybe 10,000 people, not anything like the monster shows that they had ultimately. But I got to see them there, and it was a thrill. It was just I'd never experienced anything like that before. The excitement and the noise and this. One of the essays in the book, my biggest recollection is when they came on stage, the girl sitting behind me let out this blood curdling scream directly into my right ear. And so the whole concert, I had this buzz, her scream buzz, and the Beatles music, which made it, I guess, additionally memorable. But it was really a lot of fun. And then 2 years later, they returned on a trip to the U.S. and they were kind of in trouble in a way then, because that was the more popular than Jesus time, and in Cincinnati, where I grew up, uh, a lot of people were quite angry with them, and they performed in a baseball park, big, potentially big venue that was only about half full.
Wow.
Yeah, which told me a lot. And but that show was great too, and it was thinking back on it, I was very privileged to be there because despite the controversy and some people being angry with the Beatles and the rest of us being still crazy about the Beatles, shortly thereafter they went off the road forever
Yeah.
as a group, and I went, wow, I got to see them twice.
Yeah.
So, so I've, like I said, I grew up with the Beatles. They've always been a big part of me. And when it came to crunch time during 2020, my immediate in saving the world, who do I want to help get me to help save the world? Well, the Beatles, of course, as a this wonderful creative force, and um, just so much there for everybody and so accessible
Yeah.
to people. And because everybody's capable of putting their own spin on why the Beatles are important to them. You've got your own stories, and I've got mine. And I think if for me the part of the fun of having people respond to this book has been that it helped them to think back on their own personal kind of history with the
Yeah.
Beatles, because the book, I think, in some ways has helped some folks to think back on their own history with them, which
Yeah.
is always rich. It's just great.
It's almost like the Beatles are the gift that keep on giving.
Yeah.
The music that doesn't date. And no matter how old you are, once you discover that music, as somebody said, good music will always be good music.
Yep.
Great music will last forever. And people will still be talking about Beatles music in 200 years' time.
Well, think about this. I mean, here we are 60 years on talking about it being so vital and so fresh, um, and getting excited about it. I mean, before I went on online with you, I was listening to Chris Carter's morning show on Sirius XM, and that's always a great way to start the day.
Yeah. So I've got to ask you a couple of important questions, but one is, can you give us an example of one of your favorite Beatles songs? And first of all, how you describe it? Because I think the thing we need to put over to people is what you are adding into the context of, here's a song, some history, but you then adding something of yourself. And that's the positivity about it. That's what I love about this.
Okay. Oh boy, I should have done more homework, but because there are dozens of examples that I really love. Actually, um, before I hit the song, I want to tell you that I think some of the most fun part of writing this book was, even with some of the lesser known songs, and kind of maybe it was because it was 5:30 in the morning, or maybe it was because I've got some creative juices too. But part of the most fun was kind of riffing on the song, and making and dredging up my own connections between the Beatles music and some of the people who had influenced them, and from the old, like back in the Chuck Berry days and Buddy Holly days,
Yeah.
to their contemporaries like the Byrds and the Beach Boys, who they mimicked even in some songs, and that creative back and forth was always just um, wonderful to think of. It was fantasizing about. It was like they were all in the same room together,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
influencing each other. Okay, that's so. Anyway, that was part of the fun part for me. But an easy song to kind of give some context for your listeners is, I think it has to be "While My Guitar Gently Weeps,"
Mm.
which I think is um, it's such a classic, and I was able to include multiple things in the book, in the essay about it. I mean, do you want me to talk about some of the stuff that's in that little essay?
Yep.
Um, well, the backstory, I think, is wonderful, and it really, to me, points out the genius and the tenacity of George, who who I think always in most people's minds is considered this sort of tertiary figure in the Beatles
Yeah.
because of Lennon McCartney.
Yeah.
Well, I think, unfortunately, and wouldn't it be great to have a chance to talk with Paul or Ringo these days about what it was really like? Because I've played some of those conversations in my head. Anyway, but what the story back then was that it was always difficult for George to get his work
Yeah.
into the albums. And my impression, whether or not it's accurate, was that he didn't have to beg exactly, but but if I were George, I think it may have felt a little bit like a gift from the big boys.
Yes.
Lennon, you know what, George, we'll let you do a song here. Like, oh, thank you, thank you. Well, he had written "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," okay, which was a monstrous
Yeah.
song,
Fabulous.
wonderful, and they kept turning him down.
Yeah.
So one day he was in a taxi cab in London with Eric Clapton, his buddy,
Yeah.
Eric Clapton, and he said, "Hey, I've got this song, and I'd like you to play on it." And Clapton says, in so many words, "George, nobody else plays on Beatles albums. No, nobody. I can't do that." And George said, "Look, I've been trying to get some studio time, and the mates keep saying no."
Yeah.
And he said, "So I want you to come with me, and maybe they'll behave better."
No.
So so George and Eric Clapton show up at the studio, and they go, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And George said, "Eric's here to play on my song that I've got." And they said, "Oh, well, sure, that's great." And he said, and then George said, "Well, so Paul, sits down at the piano and does his little nice introduction for, for the song, and off we went. And it's like, it is this gargantuan song. And so that's backstory.
Yeah.
But my riffing on it in the book, the okay, all you viewers, the added bonus on this little chapter in the book is that I'm convinced, in my opinion, one of the greatest rock and roll live solos of all time was done by Prince at the induction ceremony for George into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And there was this all-star group that included Jeff Lynne and Danny George's son as this group, and Prince is sort of off on the side of the stage, wearing this red derby hat, looking kind of very Prince-like, and he was literally in the shadows until the end. Oh, it was Tom Petty was the guy who pulled this group together, by the way. And Petty and he said, Prince, I want you to play so you can do a solo. And Prince said, look, everybody will want to kind of show off in this with this opportunity. So I really don't want to do it. I don't want to be a part of that. And Petty said, no, I'll take care of this. And so during one of the rehearsals, the studio musician, whose name I forget, a guitarist, went off, and Prince looks over at Tom Petty, and Tom Petty looks back over at Prince, and Petty goes, it's okay. I'll shut him down at game time.
Yeah.
So anyway, the guy got a little solo early on, and then near the end of the piece, Prince takes a step forward and does this unbelievable guitar solo, just lyrical and like from heaven.
Yeah, it's an incredible moment.
Oh yeah, and at the end of the show, at the end of the song, Prince takes off his guitar and throws it up as if he's throwing the guitar up to heaven to George Harrison.
It's an amazing moment.
I mean, just even saying that, I get goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah.
But that's a little bonus thing in the book for that one. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that not every essay in the book will give all of the readers goosebumps, but there's a story behind every song, and there's a story behind every reader's experience of the song, which is equally important because that keeps the spirit of the Beatles alive forever, like you said before.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, and particularly once they got past doing their love songs, which got them going and stuff. But after that, as lyricists and as songwriters, suddenly the lyrics meant something more. Even if you take a song that doesn't often get mentioned, like The Word, what a fantastic, positive song that is. Say the word, and the word is love. Like, what a message to throw out there.
Yep.
And there's something, I know you feel this, it doesn't matter where in the world you are. If you're with other Beatles fans, it doesn't matter what you look like, country you're from, your religion, colour of your skin, whatever it is. There's something unifying about the music of the Beatles that gets rid of borders and everything like that. It's something incredible that they were able to bring to take their songwriting to another level.
Unifying and universal. I mean, not all music brings people together.
True.
Um,
Absolutely.
and and it, and so much of the ethos has been about love, and to this moment, it's Ringo's persona, peace and love.
Love, peace and love. No, and people laugh at him, but what a message to share.
Yep, yeah, and it's been consistent, and it's totally heartfelt. I mean, there's nothing
Oh, definitely.
phony about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I got
And
to see him about 3 weeks ago.
oh, right. Yeah.
It was an early 80th birthday present from Susan to me. She spirited me off from our home midday on a Friday to the train station that goes through our town in Minnesota. And one of the stops was Milwaukee, where that night Ringo and his All-Star Band were playing.
Wow.
And it was a gas. It was just really a thrill.
He does a great concert, doesn't he?
Oh
Um,
yeah, he does. And okay, this is in 2 days. There's another early birthday present. This is from my kids. They got Susan and me tickets to the McCartney concert in Minneapolis, which is 2 hours drive from us, and we're going.
oh, fantastic.
We're going to be in the sixth row of
Wow.
McCartney in the great big football stadium where he's playing. And so they're all kind of concerned that we make sure that we have earplugs so we don't go totally deaf being up that close. And I said, I did buy some, but um, it might be worth it to totally lose my hearing to go out that way.
And just hope you don't have a screaming girl down your right ear again.
Oh no! Oh God! No!
Unless
No!
Susan's going to do that for you.
Have a not screaming great spouse right next to me. Yeah, I'm sure she would not holler in my ear like that kid in 1964. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. And I love the fact with your book that you picked a when we find ourselves in times of trouble. No, which of course is a great McCartney line, and
Yeah.
it just seems to be that message. That title fits so much for what goes on in the world. There's so many different conflicts going on, whether they're international, whether they're internal. Country, there's always something going on.
I'm afraid so. And these days, I think we need it. I mean, I certainly didn't think about that when I was working on transforming this into the paperback. But um, I think in the United States these days, we need encouragement and an uplift every day too, because well, I mean, I don't want to veer into politics, but my own politics are that things are really not right in the U.S. and people deserve to feel a sense of hope that we're going to get through this in the same way that in 2020, when people were concerned about are we even going to survive physically through COVID,
Yeah,
are we going to go through this? And I think I'm just convinced that the Beatles can help focus that kind of positive energy to encourage people to persevere.
yeah. No, absolutely. That's why I think 'cause there's a number of books out there which look at the Beatles songs, but yours is so unique because of that, as well as getting the backstory, which is always interesting anyway. It's that positive message that it brings, and I can understand why in COVID this helps so much because we all needed that because we didn't know when the end was going to be in sight for getting back to some form of normality. Um, but this is definitely a book not just for COVID. It's a book for now and for the future. Um, you've done an incredible job, and I love the fact that on the cover you've got Abbey Road and footprints. Which is a whoop, right there in front of me. Whoop, there we go.
Here we
And I
go.
think it's almost like the Beatles leave their imprint, and they've left it on Abbey Road, but they've left it on everybody around the world who they've touched. That
Yep.
has the imprint on them. And that's what, when I looked at the cover when it first arrived, I thought, yeah, no, I get that. And especially the fact you got the outline of Paul's toes on there, because of course he was that's very good. I like that as a
I
twist.
wanted to be pretty authentic, and my grandkids gave me an Abbey Road T-shirt with them substituting for the guys.
Brilliant.
That I don't know if you can see it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I love it. I
There they
love
are.
it. Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. And so yes, I'm proselytizing within my own family too.
Well, you're doing a good job. I'm doing the same with my grandsons as well. And yes, they're already into their Beatles music.
Yeah, yeah. See, there is hope for the future.
Exactly. And we have to, and it's one of those things that I was talking to someone the other day, thinking that no child is born with prejudice.
Mm, mm,
It's a learned behavior.
yep.
And if we can help these children grow up with none of that prejudice and with something positive, especially like we're talking about, the positive messages that came through the music and the songs of the Beatles, what a gift to pass on to the next generation.
Yep. Before we started filming, I called you a mogul, but you're also an ambassador, and I think the work that you're doing to keep the Beatles alive, and I think therefore keeping hope alive, is wonderful.
Oh,
It's
thank
quite a public service, my friend.
oh, well, thank you. And the whole point of it when I started the Beatles bookstore was in lockdown, because all the events that normally we would all go to and sell our books were gone.
Hmm.
Started the Beatles bookstore just to help as many independent authors as possible get the books out. And the great thing is, it still keeps growing and growing, with all these different books on there, and all the money goes to the authors, which is the beautiful thing about it. And now we've got John Bazzini doing these
Hmm.
blog posts 3 times a week. I mean, the collection that John has got, it's just phenomenal. And there are things on there that I know some people who are even more geeky and nerdy than me, who will say, I didn't know that existed. He does such an important job, does John. As you said, when you messaged me after today's one with some of that Rolling Stones song, oh no,
Yeah.
I missed one from my book. That's always the worst nightmare, isn't it? Are you okay?
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
it
it's
was
only a
pretty.
rumored
It
song.
was pretty awful.
Only a rumored song, so you're okay. You're
Yeah,
you're, you're fine.
I just was emailing a couple days ago with John, and between the two of you, I mean, you are this 1-2 punch for the Beatles everywhere. So you're really doing a public service.
Well, thank you. And that's why we like to help other authors like you, particularly when you've got something as special as you've got here. So I'm now going to pin you down. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So you're stuck on a desert island and you can only have 3 Beatles songs. What 3 Beatles songs would you have?
Yeah. Well, the first one is easy
Yeah.
but it's a cheat. It's
Ah.
it's a cheat because it's the Abbey Road medley.
Oh, the long one. Okay.
The long one,
Okay.
which in my opinion, and I wrote about this in the book. It's the very last essay in the book because I wrote about it even before the COVID stuff happened. Because I think the Abbey Road medley is a microcosm of the entire Beatles body of work, as far as beautiful harmonies and thematic things, and just amazing creativity. So I think it starts with because and goes all the way to the end.
Yep.
Almost everything on the second side of Abbey Road, which is my favorite Beatles album.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a cheat. So I snuck
That's
in.
a cheat, but I'll let you get away with that because it's you.
Well, you're a kind person. Yes, I snuck in 9 for 1.
I know.
There.
Don't do it again.
I would have to say, "While My Guitar Gently Weeps"
Yeah.
is another one of them, and um, I may want to cheat again here because I thought that for the longest time I thought that "She Loves You," which was such an early song, but which was also so gorgeously put together um, in multiple ways. I mean, with great harmony and with this very creative, kind of quirky message, because it was a love song, sort of, but it wasn't, but they were kind of being in-betweeners or advocates for another guy. Like, wait, no, she loves you. Like, oh man, what a deal that
Yeah.
is, you know. And the cheat is going to be really your fault because yeah.
What am I getting the blame for now?
Everyone who's listening, this is on David, not on me. Even though he was very clear about my task, I would. It's tough for me these days not to include Penny Lane as one of my top three because thanks to David, my wife and I got to tour Liverpool and spent time standing in the middle of the town square with the roundabout and with the bank and with the barber shop, telling us stories and being able to see that and experience that was just, I will never forget that. And so, therefore, Penny Lane has got to be right up there also for me too. But that's in part sentimental, in large part sentimental, and not just. But that's part of the beauty of the Beatles that you were talking about before.
Yeah, and the great thing is, everybody will have a different top three.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you've got a couple of hundred songs to choose from, and it also it depends on your mood, I think,
Mm-hmm.
as well as to what you want to listen to.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a song for every mood. There's a song for every genre. There's there's something for everybody. You know, it's the great thing I think that they managed to do in what from the end of 1962 with the first single, but really looking at 63 to 70
mm-hmm.
of releasing albums. Every album is different.
Yep.
Every time they're pushing the boundaries, they're experimenting, they're trying something new. They never said, "We've got a sound, we're going to stick with it."
This is it.
I mean, what other group has ever been able to do that and do it to that level, to do it to that standard and keep innovating and pushing and creating? It's a phenomenon that will never happen again.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. It's they just did not sit on their laurels ever, and I wish they'd figured out a way to stay together longer. But meanwhile, here we are again, 60 years on, talking about this 7 or maybe a little bit more, given their sort of startup years, period of time in which they became them and this phenomenon that gave so many gifts to the world.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. And so thank you for writing this book. There are so many wonderful messages in there and the backstories to the songs as well. And the QR codes. It's a great idea. It works so well. Um, so tell everybody, where can they buy this wonderful book?
Oh, at present, what you need to do is go to www.amazon.com, and my name is Tim Hatfield. And there's a little search bar, and that'll take you right to that book.
Perfect. And I'll make sure that is on the Beatles bookstore as well.
Excellent.
And we'll put it down below so people can see that.
It's also a bargain, by the way.
It's amazing.
$18.99 American for 214 Beatles songs plus a bunch of other stuff.
460 pages. Look at that.
Yeah, yeah. This is not
bargain.
This is, I think, my crowning literary achievement. I'm not gonna. People say, "What's next, Tim?" Like, oh man, I wrote a doctoral dissertation. I've published in academic journals, but this is it. This is for me. For me, this is it.
Wow, what a legacy to create! What a piece of work it is wonderful. I highly recommend it. And we'll put links. And please, everybody, if you're ever in times of trouble, which we all are quite a lot of the time, this book has the answers for you. Thank you, Tim. You're an absolute legend.
Oh, well, I don't know about that, but it's really been a pleasure being with you, David. And I would agree that you're the man.
Thank you.
Thanks.